Hey Tribe, welcome back. In this video, I wanted to have more of a heart-to-heart, honest talk with you why I left my condo at La Casita in Hua Hin, Thailand. Now, in this video, we're going to cover three things. Part one is what I loved about La Casita. And part two is why I made the choice to actually break my lease there and leave. And part three is what am I doing now? What are my plans now since I left La Casita in Thailand? Now, before I get into this video, I don't want to have this video as bashing La Casita. Okay, that's really not my goal here. But what you have to understand is my whole channel is about live life on your terms, baby. It's about living life unapologetically on your terms. It's about living life authentically and having frame, standards, and boundaries around your life, around all your life. Now, but part one of this is what did I love about La Casita? Now, there's a few things that La Casita hands down that really just beats other condos. And one, the top one is location. La Casita sits in a prime location of Hua Hin. It sits in the heart of Hua Hin. Plus, you can walk to a lot of places. So you're not going to need to take a tuk-tuk all over, a taxi all over, or rent a motorbike to go all over. You can do that if you want to go farther away, but you can walk to a lot of places. So La Casita sits right in between, right in the middle of, you got Blueport on this side. This is a mall. Then you have Market Village, which is another mall on this side. It sits right in the middle. It's a 10-minute walk either way. You can go to both malls. Also on this side of La Casita, you're right beside Bangkok Hospital. So hopefully you don't need to use the hospital, but if you did, it's only a 5-minute walk away. Then across the street, you're only about a 10-minute walk from the ocean. So the ocean, where La Casita sits on the other side of the big road. On this side is the beach, but you also have condos on this side as well. Then the beach is outside these condos or businesses or 7-Eleven. So it's about a 10-minute walk to the beach. So you're really super close to the beach in Hua Hin. The second thing I really liked about La Casita, I got sweat coming down me. I'm in Thailand right now. It's hot right now, hot season, April. But the second thing I really liked about La Casita is that La Casita is fairly new. So in 2025 here, La Casita was built in 2019. So it's about only 6 years old. And they do keep up with it as best as they can as far as Thailand. If you have more experience in Thailand, you know what I'm talking about. But they do keep up with it fairly good. They do keep it super, super clean. It has a nice little elegant Spanish theme. They do a wonderful job with the landscaping, keeping it clean, keeping it cut. They do a wonderful job at spraying for mosquitoes every month, keeping the bugs down and all that jazz. It does have, in my opinion, it's probably the top 3 swimming pools in Hua Hin. The swimming pool is rather huge. It has like a swimming area for laps, and they have a bigger pool down here. The swimming pool pretty much stretches the whole length of La Casita, and it also comes with a fitness center. The fitness center we will talk about later, but it does come with a nice fitness center. It comes with a barbecue station, a grill area, an area where you can eat. We will talk about the amenities later on because this is a pet peeve of mine. But as far as the grounds, they keep it super clean, super nice. It does still look super new. So those are the two main things, but I just literally hands down loved about La Casita. Okay, with part 2 here, this is why I left La Casita, and this is where the rubber is going to meet the road. This is where maybe you want to kind of pay attention. And I'm not saying with my experience is going to happen to you. I'm not saying what bothered me actually might not bother you. You might be okay with it. But I just want to share my experience. But anyway, I had to move areas here. I don't know if you're going to hear it in editing, but the last scene we just came from, woo, the birds were chirping away. I mean, they were so loud, I could hardly concentrate on what I was saying. That's how loud it was. They were just chirping and having fun. So I had to like walk down here, go to a different area. But anyway, going back to La Casita part 2, like why I ended up breaking my lease and ending my lease. And before we get into this is I did break my lease legally through Thai law. And what I mean by that, I followed all the Thai laws. I also got back 100% of my security deposits. So they didn't like screw me on that. So they did do the right thing. I had to push it a little bit. I had to be a little bit firm with them. But once they knew, I kind of knew what I was doing. They kind of complied with me. But anyway, let's go back to kind of why I left La Casita. And I did stay at La Casita for a year and a half. And I know the first question is like, well, Chad, if you didn't like it there, why did you stay a year and a half? And on top of that, I did do 2 leases. I started off with a 6-month lease, and then I re-signed for a year lease. And the year lease is actually what I broke through Thai law. But let's kind of get to it and kind of get off the bat how I ended up at La Casita. Now, what happened is that I used to live in Phuket. So I lived in Phuket for 1 year, and that's where I met Ang. So I was going out at that time, I was going out with Ang almost a year, the whole time I was in Phuket. Then I wanted to go home, visit family for a few months. So I went home to visit family. Ang went up to Bangkok to stay with her sister. So when I was at home in the States visiting a family, I wanted to test out the waters at other places in Thailand. I didn't want to just go right back to Phuket or go back to Patong or Kathu, Katakoron, or something like that. I wanted to kind of see other places in Thailand and actually live in different places in Thailand, not just move around every couple weeks. But after talking to Ang, we chose Hua Hin. Now, Hua Hin, Ang had a lot of experience, but Ang used to own a house in Hua Hin. She lived there for 10 years. So she really loved Hua Hin. So I said, okay, cool. I can stay in Hua Hin. We can do a lease there. I mean, even if I don't like it, it's not really for me. I can put up with anything for like 6 months or a year. It's not gonna be that bad. That's kind of how my brain was going into it. So then I found La Casita online, and I had Anne kind of reach out, but since she was in Thailand, plus she speaks Thai, I thought I would get like a little bit more of a discount rather than just being a stereotypical Farang. So that's what I did. She reached out to one of the condo agents at La Casita that worked for Plus Property, and we kind of set everything up. I agreed to a 6-month lease, and I put down a holding deposit. So that's how it works, and that's probably how, if you're out of the country, that's probably how it's going to work for you. Is you put down a holding deposit to hold the lease and hold the unit for you. So you put down half, basically put down half the rent for that month as a holding deposit. Now, if you break that, you're not going to get that back. Even if you follow Thai law, you're not going to get that back 100%. Just to, if you have a question about that. So that's what we did. So how it works from there, when you put down a holding deposit, is when you show up the day in Thailand, the check-in day, that's when they sit down with you and you're going to sign the official 6-month lease, and that they'll give you the keys and everything else. That's how that works. So like in my experience, so that's what I did. And, when I flew back to Thailand, I flew into Bangkok, and Ang picked me up, her sister, her brother-in-law. Her brother-in-law had a great big truck, and it had all my stuff in it. It had Ang stuff in it. Plus, it had my motorbike in it because I had a motorbike. So they were driving Ang and myself to Hua Hin. So by the time we get to Hua Hin, it's already about 6 p.m. at nighttime. And this is where probably if I was doing this normally, if I was doing this by myself, sorry, I got to drink some water. Now, probably if I was doing this by myself, I would have walked away completely, because how La Casita is set up through Plus Property, through the condo agents, I used to work in sales. So, it's really a dirty sales tactic. So what they do, and they still do this today, they haven't changed, is they basically tell you what you want to hear. And then when you show up to sign your lease, you figure out like what they told you wasn't really correct. Then they have the juristic office. The juristic office will come out with their own kind of like sublease, but it's not really a lease. It's basically like do's and don'ts, like on the property. Like you're not allowed to eat by the pool, you're not allowed to drink by the pool, you're not allowed to use the barbecue station. This is why I told you about the amenities. Wait on the amenities. You're not allowed to use the barbecue station. You're not allowed to cook on the barbecue station. You're not allowed to even eat around the barbecued food station. You're not allowed to smoke anywhere. So they bring this out and they want you to sign off on it. And I mean, I used to work in law back in the States on the business side of things. So I knew right away that they were violating tenant laws in Thailand. And that's exactly what they did to me and they did something else too. Now I want to remind you, like when I set everything up, I communicated 100% with a condo agent by email. Okay, so I had this whole email, all these emails from the condo agent basically telling me what I want to hear. I asked, the big thing that stuck out to me at the time, I asked about parking, but parking was huge for me because I already lived in Thailand for a year. So I knew parking was always an issue in condos. So she told me in an email, she told me that I had my own parking space. She actually even sent me a picture of a parking space. so, so I had all this stuff in an email. So when I when we get there and I sit down to do the lease, I sign the lease. After I sign the lease, and they bring out this sublease of all the do's and don'ts. Um, I honestly didn't want to sign it, but I did. But then after that, I said, "Well, where's parking? Where's my parking space? Because I have my motorbike, so that way I can park my motorbike in it." So that the agent was like, "Oh, the parking is just downstairs in a parking lot." And I said, "Well, no, which one's mine? I want to know which one's mine or what number it is. Does the number of the parking space match my unit?" And she's like, "Oh no, it's just free. It's just like open parking downstairs." So I mean, I'm like, "What do you mean open parking? You sent me an email stating that I had my own parking space, and you sent me a picture of my parking space." So that was like a big lie, like right off the bat. And so she tried to cover it up, like, "Oh, it's just open parking." So I said, "Okay, take me down, let me look up parking." And that's when I realized, like, La Casita, the parking area is crazy small from the size of La Casita. La Casita has a little bit over 700 condos, and in the parking, they only have about 210 parking spots. So it's like, dude, this isn't what I agreed to. I wanted my own parking. But anyway, but I was kind of, the reason why I still signed the lease, I was kind of in this, I was kind of like in a hard spot because it was already 6 p.m. at night. I've been traveling. Plus, I had Ang pick me up, her brother-in-law's sister. They drove us there. They have their truck there full of my stuff. I still have their truck full of my stuff. I'm checking in November 4th at the time, so it's already high season. So I pretty much was just like, I kind of have no, I mean, I had choices, but I felt bad for her brother-in-law because I would have had to pay for a place for them and stuff like that. So I talked to Ang and I thought, you know what, let's just stay here for 6 months. Maybe it won't be that bad. You know, I'm kind of pissed off of like kind of doing the hard sales tactic with me. They're kind of dirty in the beginning, but you know, I don't have a choice. So let's just sign the lease, stay here for 6 months, and maybe everything will smooth over. So that's how I ended up in the 6 month lease. Is I didn't really want to. If it was just, again, if I was just by myself, I would have just walked away. But again, everybody was, I mean, it wasn't just me at that point. I had to worry about and I had to take care of. So anyway, I signed the lease, and during that 6 months, this is what I learned about La Casita. Is that La Casita was treated like a hotel, even though that it violates the Hotel Act, even though like when you stay in a condo, you have to stay 30 days or more. So people were just staying, 2 nights and leaving, staying on a weekend and leaving, staying one day and leaving, staying 1 week and leaving, staying 2 weeks and leaving. So it really gave it more of just a hotel feel. But what you have to understand, a condo isn't built like a hotel. So when they treat a condo like a hotel, it can get very overoccupied. So you have all these beautiful amenities, but the pool was over occupied. The fitness center was over occupied. You could hardly use the fitness center during high season. The fitness center was really, really nice and new, but it was crazy small from the size of the condo. Again, 700 condo units or a little bit over 700. And with the fitness center, with only 5, 6, 7 people in the fitness center, it felt already crowded. So my workout days in La Casita didn't last very long until I kind of went outside and got a monthly not monthly lease, a monthly membership in a fitness center in Hua Hin, just to kind of get away from the fitness center in La Casita. That's what was really my biggest pet peeve of it being treated like a hotel. But that brings in a whole bunch of issues. that brings in theft. And yes, theft happens at La Casita. I knew people that got their stuff stolen. I knew people that got their condos and rooms broken into, and juristic office does nothing. They try to hide it under the table. I know people there that bar girls, they bring home a bar girl, the bar girl pulled a knife on them, and they had to physically defend themselves at La Casita. Another thing at La Casita was they had a bunch of money schemes from Plus Property, from the Plus Property staff. The juristic office had money schemes, meaning like technically you weren't allowed to smoke there. So if they caught you smoking, you had to pay 2,000 baht. If they caught you eating, like downstairs in the common areas, you weren't supposed to do that. So they would charge you 500 baht. They had like these little carts to take up to your room. If you didn't bring the cart back down, it was 500 baht. So they had all these little money schemes going on. With security, they had tons of security there, but security at nighttime had their own money schemes also. Like they would let people in that didn't even live at La Casita. I've seen it on my own eyeballs. It wasn't even like rumor. I've seen him do this. And people will pull up at nighttime. They would pay them. They would let them park in our parking structure so they can go across the street to the beach or go across and eat at one of the restaurants. So they had these little money schemes at night. And again, like the parking is already small. It's too small even for the tenants there. And there's been several times, even with that, there were several times Ang and I would come home at nighttime and not even have parking. Like it just, especially if you have a car. Now, if you had a car, you came home and there's no parking for your car, you would just shit out of luck. I mean, I don't even know where you would go and park it in Hua Hin. So just a lot of issues around that. Like not, and just with that stuff, it was just very, very, very poorly managed. And usually how these condos work in not every condo, of course, in Thailand, a lot of them, like the management of the condo or the developer of the condo, whatever you want to call it, sometimes terms change, sometimes they call it different in Thailand, but they were hire an agency. So what La Casita did, they hired Plus Property. Plus Property was like a staffing agency that staffed the juristic office. They had their own condo agents. They staffed the security. So everybody kind of worked together. But all these rules that violated your tenant rights, because you have to remember that when you live in a condo, you're not living in a hotel. Now, when you live in a hotel, they can give all these rules to you and you have to abide by them. But once you shift over to a condo now is a residence. So now you falter under the tenant laws of Thailand. Because basically how it works, to keep it simple, is that if you rent and you live in a condo, I can do the same thing an owner can do. So you can't put stipulations on me. Now, the only stipulations they can is if the owner themselves inside the lease don't want you to smoke in their room. They can do that, but they can't say no smoking for their entire property. They can't do that. Just in that example. But anyway, kind of with those things, my first 6 months, I was planning on leaving. My lease was up May 4th, and I was planning on going home because my niece was getting married the middle of May. So I told Ang, I was like, dude, I don't like it here. I just want to finish my lease. And I wasn't too sure about Hua Hin. I wanted to get more involved with the beach. And Hua Hin, what you have to know about Hua Hin is if you really want to go somewhere and you tell me, well, Chad, dude, I'm gonna get up, sit on the beach and sip on my coconut all day long and hang out at the beach, I would tell you not go to Hua Hin. There's way other better places in Thailand to go to the beach. Don't go to Hua Hin. Because I lived in Hua Hin for a year and a half, and I can tell you this, the beach is high tide most of the year. It's a windsurfer beach on top of that. Even in high season, the whole high season, most of the time is high tide. So you're not going to enjoy yourself if you're really a beach person. You really want to hang out at the beach your whole vacation. Bottom line. But anyway, I was planning on not breaking my lease, but once my lease was up, I was going to move. And at the time, Ing and I were looking at either going up to Bangkok, checking that out, living up there for a while, see how I like it, or shoot over to Jamtien and live over there for a while, see how I like it. But what ended up happening to me was after So Grand, So Grand that year was the first time they played So Grand since the pandemic. And after So Grand, I had a fantastic time. So Grand is their Thai New Year. It's the big water festival. After the So Grand, I got so sick because they were just constantly throwing cold water on me all day long. It literally felt like I had pneumonia. I'm not lying. I'm not. It wasn't even a fun experience. I mean, it was fun playing So Grand, but afterwards, I was literally sick for 2.5 weeks, like deadly sick. And I was sick literally from time So Grand was over to the time I left to go back home. I was sick. So in between that time, my lease was coming up, and I either had to leave or re-sign the lease, but I was like deathly sick, and the whole plan was to look for another place, but I was too sick to look for another place. And plus, I was going home. So then Ang and I talked. I didn't feel good. I said, you know what? Let's just sign another year lease. And she'll give me a better deal if I sign a year lease. So that's what I did. Even though I didn't want to, but I was kind of, dude, I was sick. That's what I got to say. So I kind of felt like I could live through it. So I signed a year lease. I knew I was going home for about 3 months. Then I would be back, and Ang was going to stay in my place. So that's what I did. I went home, went to my niece's wedding, stayed for a few months, visit family. I came back near the end of August and surprised Ang, by the way. She was really surprised. but but when I came back, I thought, I could live out the lease. I was gone, kind of got away from it, got away from stuff that bothered me. But it was really the same thing, and it actually got worse. It was really the same stuff I told you before, but it was just hearing more and more stories of people staying at La Casita. They were having the same issues. They were leaving for this. Some of them were just breaking their leases and leaving altogether. Um, my condo agent got worse and worse and worse. We had our air conditioner break twice while I was there, and it took 2 weeks to fix it each time. Because which it's hard to explain everything here, because remember, I have a Thai girlfriend, Ang's Thai. So when people come and they fix stuff in the place, they don't speak English, but they speak Thai. So Ang's talking to him. So Ang really knows what's really going on versus me being a Falong and not speaking conversational Thai. So so when we would have the maintenance guy come and fix the air conditioner, and we would say, why is it taking 2 weeks? Like, he would basically tell Ang that, oh, they don't want to fix it. They don't. I told them it needs a new compressor, but they don't want to buy a new compressor. They just want me to, like, old school fix it. And he's like, honestly, I just don't have time for it. So he said that's why it's taken so long. We had a refrigerator break, and to this day, they never even fixed the refrigerator. They just left it broke. What else? The last thing on there is my motorbike kept on getting scratched up in motorbike parking. Like I said, like, motorbike parking was just chaotic. It wasn't under control. They would let everybody park there. It wasn't only for the tenants or who lived there or who rented there. They had staff park. They had all the staff parked in the parking area. All the independent staff. They had a bunch of staff that would just work independently that would just show up. You didn't even know who they were. They didn't even have on the Plus Property uniform, that they would just let in and out. They let Grab go in and out and park in there. Plus, on top of it, the security still had their same money schemes going on, letting people park there. They would let bar girls and freelancers park there at nighttime. So it was just totally chaotic. So, but what ended up happening, kind of the rubber that meets the road here in my long discussion, is that my motorbike kept on getting scratched, keep on getting hit, and finally I got hit pretty good in motorbike parking, where I had to go get it fixed. So then, I called my agent, told him what happened. My agent went to the juristic office. So basically, long story short, they didn't want to fix my bike, and they just drug it out. They wanted me to go to the police station, file a police report, then take that police report back to them. A Thai police would have to come with me in order for them to let me review the security cameras. So they didn't want to look at the security cameras. They wanted to waste my time to look at them. And at that point, I knew. I told Ang, I was like, dude, this is wasting my time. because the parking is so chaotic. Even if I saw who hit my bike, I mean, honestly, they might not even live here, but they let so many people in and out. So it's a lost cause. So anyway, I went and got the bike fixed. I told my agent that, hey, I'm just going to deduct it from my rent because you guys aren't working with me. That pissed off the agent, pissed off my agent. So the agent started being a kind of a bully and threatening me, saying like, oh, if I deduct it from the rent, then she's going to call the Thai police on me. So I said, well, call the Thai police on me because I live in a condo. I falter under tenant laws, so the Thai police can't do nothing to me. I mean, you would have to take me to court, or you have to take me to Thai court. So, but still, she still basically was like, well, I'm gonna call the Thai police on you. I'm gonna kick you out, and I'm gonna keep your security deposits. So I'm gonna keep your last month and your security deposit. So she was threatening me. So then this happened on a weekend. So then I got off the phone. Then over that weekend, I figured out where her office was because she worked for Plus Property and everybody was Plus Property in La Casita. So I figured out where the office was, and the office was actually really, really close. It was only down by Blueport. So I walked down on Monday morning. I walked down to talk to her manager, the manager who manages the whole thing. And at that time when I was going down, I was actually going down to try to work this out. I told Ang that all I want to do is actually talk to the owner. That way the owner can deal with this stuff. The owner know what's going on. But at the time, my agent didn't want to let me talk to the owner. She kept on pushing. She had power of attorney. So she was shielding me from the owner because, of course, they don't want the owner to know everything going on. And they know I'm going to spill the beans. I'm just going to tell them everything. So they didn't want me to talk to the owner. So anyway, when I'm going down to actually talk to her boss, who's in charge of all the staff at La Casita, I was like, no, I'm going to try to work it out with her. As long as she lets me talk to the owner, I'm going to work this thing out. But when I talked to her, she didn't want to, again, now she was nice. She was professional, but she didn't want me to talk to the owner. She was kept on shielding it like, well, the owner don't know English. And I said, well, Ang speaks English and Thai, so she can translate for me. Then she said, no, just send an email. She wanted me to send an email, have her translate it. So I was like, no, I'm not going to play that game. I want to talk to the owner. Then I suggested we could do a three-way phone call and I can talk to the owner. She didn't even want to do that. So finally it came down to, she said that, well, you're just not happy here. And I said, no, I'm not. Like, and I just told her like, basically like, hey, if you're not going to let me talk to the owner, then I'm going to break my lease and end my lease. Then I go, I already wrote a letter. Just give me your email and I'll send you the letter I wrote. And then she agreed, and she agreed to technically read the letter to the owner, which I don't think she really did. But anyway, she didn't know I used to work on law. So then I sent her the letter. It was a legal letter in Thailand, and basically explaining what I wanted. I put a whole bunch of issues in there because you need to do that in order to end your lease early. Plus, I put Thai law in there so she would know that I knew what I was talking about. And at the end, the kicker is if they don't want to negotiate with you, I was going to go and file a complaint with the OCPD. And this is a big thing, a learning experience, is because no condo, no company, no agency, no condo agency, no condo agent wants you to go to the OCPD. Because if you go to the OCPD, they're going to investigate everything. So they didn't want that. And so once I said the OCPD in my letter, within like 2 hours of her getting my letter, she called me, sent me an email, called Ang and said, yeah, we're letting him break his lease and we're giving back his deposit. Just give us the day you're going to move out. So I gave him a 45-day notice. I still did the right thing. And I ended my lease and I got my security deposit back. What was kind of funny, before we move on here to the last part, when I did check out, my original condo agent didn't want to come. So she sent like a different condo agent. And this is a piece to kind of listen to too, if you're still listening, is what they tried to kind of scam me again even when they were checking me out. Because when they were checking me out, dude, I had it on video. When they were checking me out, they're literally being crazy anal, like literally taking pictures of every little thing, making sure every little thing worked. I mean, I'm just being crazy anal. I mean, she literally walked around. These condos are small. I mean, they might look a little bit big in pictures, but they're tiny in person, and they're only 35 square meters. And she walked around for literally 10 minutes looking at the whole place. I filmed it. I might post it here. I don't know yet. But anyway, I filmed it. When she sat down to do everything, she gave me this blank form, and she wanted me to sign this blank form. So I look at the form. She just wanted me to sign a blank form. So I look at it. I read it because it was in Thai and English. So the form was that if I signed it, it was saying that I received my security deposit back. So then I look at her and I say, well, I'm not going to sign this. And she kind of got big mouth with me, snippy with me. Then she's like, well, if you don't sign it, that's how we do things. And if you don't sign it, that means you're just going to have to come back on Monday. But mind you, I'm checking out on Saturday, so they're going to want me to come back on Monday or Tuesday. And I said, no. I go, it's not going to work like that. I go, I gave a 45-day notice. Your boss knows that I gave a notice. Okay. I go, BB, my agent, also knows that I was checking out on this day because I talked to her several times in the last month. So we're ending this today. I go, I am not coming back. And I am not signing a blank form that says that you gave me my security deposit back when you didn't. So that kind of made her angry. But anyway, she called my original agent. They agreed to give my security deposit back. She wrote it on the form, and then I signed it. But they were trying to do a sneaky with me a little bit, and they were trying to be a bully. That's really kind of it really left a sour taste in my mouth. Um, uh, like right now, like any condo in Hua Hin, I would not stay in any condo that is managed by Plus Property. Bottom line. I mean, I would stay away from that from 100%. I mean, they do not manage. They have schemes and steal, um, all types of stuff. And everybody that I've talked to at La Casita, if they stay there long enough, they all have issues. Some of them put up with it. They put up with it because they feel like they have to. But again, you know, our life is about living life on our terms. Living life on our terms unapologetically, and having frame, standards, and boundaries around your entire life. And when you don't uphold your standards and boundaries and you let people walk on you, either your relationship, either business people or whatever, I mean, you kind of get out of life what you put up with, bottom line. So again, I felt like I did my due diligence. I did my best, but my standards and boundaries were just constantly being crossed. And so I chose to break my lease, and they did uphold it. They fought me on it, but I got what I wanted and walked away. Hey tribe, part 3 here. Where am I going from here in Thailand? What are my plans here? And sorry again, my part 2 is rather long. I don't know if I can edit it down or not, but it is what it is. It was a long story, so if you wanted to sit through it, you sat through it. But anyway, where am I going? What are my plans here? And I'll be honest with you, my experience with La Casita, it really put, especially for a year and a half, it really put a really sour taste in my mouth with condos in Thailand, dealing with condos in Thailand, dealing with condo agents, and not directly with the owners themselves. So I was kind of just, at this point, it's kind of like really bua. Bua is a Thai phrase of, you're bored. You're kind of done with it. So right now I'm kind of done with the condo scene. I'll probably move into a house, either buy a house here in Thailand or move into a house or rent a house. Right now we did end up, when I broke my lease, we were going to go over to Jomtien, but since it was like right in the beginning of February at that time, it was still high season. So I knew in high season, it's going to be hard to negotiate a great deal. So then Ang and I was talking, we thought, well, we can come up in Surin. So this is where like a lot of my videos here. I'm up in northern Thailand in Surin, and this is where Ang's house is. So like when I'm filming in the office now, and the house I'm at, that's Ang's house up in Surin. It's a Thai house. or Thai style house. It's not really a European style house. So we kind of been up here for the last, I think the last 2 months. It's almost April, so February, March. Yeah, been up here a little bit over 2 months now. And, you know, it's been okay. I mean, northern Thailand, it's not really for me, really. It's nice to come up and visit, probably short term. 2 months, 3 months might be a little bit too long, just because you're really in the heart of how Thai live. And, you know, in the beginning, that can be a great experience because you really learn how Thai live. You live in their Thai village, and there's hardly any flying around, hardly any foreigners around. It's not a tourist hotspot. So you really get the heart of how Thai people live, how locals live. And so I kind of looked at it as a positive. And I knew it was going to be way more quieter up here. So I thought, you know, I could, you know, focus a little bit more on business. Even though I focused on business really good in Hua Hin as well. But I'm pretty good discipline in that stuff. Then on top of that, her dad was not in the best shape health-wise. So his health pretty much drastically turned around since we've been up here for 2 months. I mean, his health is really declining just because he wasn't taking his medications like the doctor said. He wasn't eating good. He was pretty much just smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee. His medicine upset his stomach because he wasn't eating right. So it was just like a vicious cycle, and his health was just getting worse, worse, and worse. So when we came up here, you know, Ang's managing all that, making sure he's taking the proper medication, making sure he's eating 3 meals like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And he just went to the doctor a couple days ago, and his health really just 100% turned around. So that wasn't the main reason we came up, but it was part of it. So kind of the plan from here is really, I'm kind of back and forth, quite honestly, really either waiting for rainy season here, which is coming up pretty quick. And just in rainy season, that means even if you buy a house or rent, you can get a really good deal rainy season, just because, I mean, a lot of Flong are not here, they go home. It's not vacation time, it's not high season time. So you can get a way better deal, you know, negotiating rents, even good negotiating rents in condos if you wait till like June or July to do it. On top of that, I do want to go home and visit family for a few months. So it's kind of coming down to a cusp of, you know, what I'm going to do here, but it's April already. And so Grand is coming up in the next week. Like when I'm going to go home and visit family, if I'm going to nab a place before I go home, that way I already secure my place. I go home and come back. And when I come back, if it's close to high season, I'm already getting an excellent price. But right now I'm kind of leaning away from the condo scene, like I said, and looking at more of a house. But when you're dealing with a house in Thailand, when you're dealing with buying a house in Thailand, this is why it's so good to be up in Surin. So good to look at Thai style houses, because they tend to take shortcuts when they build, and it gives you more experience what to look for. Even when they build European style houses, they take shortcuts. They don't build them right. I do know a lot of developers here and a lot of Flong that work for developers, and they tell me the same thing. They say, Chad, you have to watch out for developments, but they do cut corners. And houses here, this is the thing, the main ingredient here. Houses here, they cut corners so much that you buy a brand new house, and within year 2 and 3, your house is only 2 or 3 years old, and it already has like major issues. You already have to fix major things that you shouldn't even be fixing, at least a minimum at least 10 years out. So, and that's something I experienced with La Casita as well, where, you know, La Casita, like when I first stayed there, it was only like 3.5 years old, something like that. And when it got closer to 4 years, 4.5 years, dude, they were having some major issues. They were constantly replacing stuff. And this is another thing with La Casita I kind of left out, was like when the amenities break, they don't fix them. So like we had the bridge break, that was broke for 8 months. We had the water slide for the kids break, that was broke for 8 months before they fixed it. So again, when you stay in these condos, they have these great amenities, but when they break, they don't fix them, or they leave them broken for a year. And if you listen to other people's videos, even a lot of people that do, I don't do this, but a lot of people that do, condo tours and stuff like that, show you condos, but they don't share anything with you. I mean, that's what they leave out is when, and sometimes they say it really fast that, oh yeah, my steam room, my condo has been broke for a whole year. And you know what I mean? When these amenities break, they don't fix, bottom line, or they take forever to fix it. You're there, your whole lease is things are broken. So it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, just want to share those things with you. If you have questions, ask them down below. And other than that, peace out, and I'll see you in the next video.